Hello and welcome back. I'm Lincoln, and today we're going to be working on the skull. This is day 5 of my October3D sculpting challenge. And you can see I didn't get crazy with the detail. I'm still kind of staying with a cartoon style to make it quick and easy for you guys to sculpt these and make it throughout the month doing the sculpting challenge. I'll put up the rest of the challenge now. So you can see here it's all broken up into weeks, and by the end of the week we'll be able to do a cool scene that's just a couple days away. And if you guys would like to share anything on Instagram, use the hashtags at the bottom of the prompt list or in the description below, and I'll see your work online. So I had a question yesterday concerning which version of Nomad Sculpt I'm in. I'm actually in the beta test version of 1.66, and they actually updated it again yesterday. And I really thought they were pretty close to actually, putting it out for everyone, but I guess they're still working on updates. And they did do some really interesting things, and I'll point all those out in the front of the video before I get started with the sculpt. It'll only take a minute or two, and then we'll get sculpting this guy. All right, let's get to it. All right, so down the left side there, these are all mostly new options. And then when I come over here to the scene menu, I'm going to click this open, and you'll see at the bottom of the menu that those are all new little options now. And it's more explained when you click on the plus sign. You got the primitives again, and then you've got groupings, repeaters, and lights. The repeaters is probably the coolest thing in there. That allows you to do all kinds of copying, and you don't have to worry about them being validated anymore. They'll still do it if they're validated. It's really cool. I was playing with that a little bit last night. Okay, so here I just clicked on the lock screen to lock the screen in place. It makes it so much easier to do big moves on these shapes. Alright, so I'm going to go in here and dump the default sphere, put a new one in, and that other one probably would have been fine, but this is just kind of a nice round shape. We'll just start from here. Now, locking the screen like that, you hold your finger on the view cube for a couple seconds and it'll go dark. It's a really nice option to make everything sit in place if you're trying to move things. It's really hard to do, stretch things out and move them when they're moving around on you. So here, I'm just going through, smoothing it out now that I've moved it. And I've left it really low mesh. It makes it so much easier to move, in the beginning. That's the best way to move something like this around. And now I'm just kind of changing the view and adjusting the shape. And it doesn't have to be perfect at this point. It's just kind of getting started. You'll see later on that I ended up using the gizmo tool and kind of stretch and squeeze the whole thing when I'm nearly done at the end. So just slowly using the move tool, adjusting the size, tweaking everything around. One of the most important things I would say to do is, especially when you're doing this and I'm not using any reference, I'm just kind of going off, just kind of going by feel here, is make sure that you're changing your view quite a bit. Don't just stay in one view. Move around a lot. It makes it so much easier to see, because you'll end up doing a bunch of sculpting in one view and you move it around and then, it looks terrible and you have to move everything around again. So much easier to do in the beginning. Now you could just cut those sockets out as well if you wanted to, but it's pretty easy to do with the move tool. And then here, grab the inflate tool, and I'm just starting to kind of work a little more smaller details in, work from large to small, get the main shape together, and then just start working on smaller details. So here I'm just working on the eye sockets a little bit, just kind of moving things around. And then, it's kind of hard to see on this because the video is sped up, but, I'll just hit the voxel, remerge the bottom of the screen there, and the smooth tool, and just kind of work through, so it doesn't get any crazy topology going on. Now, I don't know if it's hard to see that, but the blue and pinkish red axis lines in the grid now are pretty cool, because you can actually touch on them and drag straight down. It's actually a really cool feature now, and that's something new. And I really do like having those colored axis lines. It makes it so much easier to understand where you're at. So here, just kind of messing around, working on the top of the jaw, and I didn't end up putting a bottom jaw on this one. I may do that later on in the sculpting challenge. I've got an idea for what I want to use this for and a few things. So I may eventually do a bottom jaw, but I didn't do it in this one. Just trying to keep things quick and simple. Because I've done a few drawing challenges for the month of October, and I know how hard it is to make it all the way through for 31 days. So I'm trying to make all these quick and simple and easy. I couldn't decide if I wanted to do, individual teeth, and I finally decided just for, easy and for the sake of quickness, just to go through and just detail them a little bit with a crease brush. And this is what I was saying here, just now that I've kind of got the skull outlined what I wanted, using the gizmo tool to adjust it. So now I'm just using the lasso tool to cut out in between the teeth. And I'm not being terribly careful with this. It really doesn't matter too much, because I'm going to come in with a flatten tool and knock all the sharp edges down. That's what I'm doing there right now. And if you guys want to detail these out, certainly just go crazy with the detail. With me trying to get all these done each day and then get a video out, I can only do so much in each one. So I knew the skull was going to be a little bit of a challenge in the first week for everyone, not everyone, but for some people this might be a little bit more of a challenge and take a little longer. And I really wanted it because later on you'll be able to combine this with all kinds of stuff later on, and I think it'll be really fun. So here you can see at the back there for a second that when I cut the teeth, I cut the bottom of the skull in the back, so I'll smooth that out in just a minute. And just give it a little bit of color, and it also makes it easier. It depends on which matte cap you're using and what color you're using, but sometimes just throwing a light color of any kind that's a matte finish works really well. It makes it easier to see. It's more like a real sculpting clay at that point when it's kind of a matte finish. And here I was trying to decide if I want to make it, grumpy skull or smiley skull, and finally decided I'd just kind of leave it alone. Just kind of going through and giving it a little bit of detail. Not much, just kind of highlighting a few things here and there. And at this point I've turned off symmetry. I'll use symmetry for a good while, and then at some point it's just, you got to kind of make it unique and different from side to side. And just slowly working some detail in. They could definitely use some more work, but this is just to kind of get you guys a base if you guys want to see how to get, kind of a basic skull going. And here I normally would do one eye and then do everything and mirror it to the other side. But for some reason, that particular mirroring thing was not working on here, and it's because of this new version. Because I even had a problem with the move brush was giving me an issue on certain things, here. So that's what I was playing around, trying to figure out which brush I wanted to use to detail the eye a little bit. And I don't even remember which one I finally decided on. I mask it off here. And that was another weird thing. That's another bug that I picked the select mask on a circle and then it flipped over to the regular mask. So there's still a little buggy, couple little bugs in here that they got to work out. So I really do hope they release version 1.66 soon, because it really does have so many cool new features in it, and I can't wait for those to come out so I can do some new videos. Because there's the you can do the instance and have parents and children for everything in your scene menus. So I've already played around and started working on doing hands and bodies where you can, pose everything. So much better now. You don't have to pose each piece individually, once you get it all put together. So here using the masking to make the black of the iris of the eye, or the black of the eye, and then coming around with the color, just changing the color blend a little bit. I just thought it was fun to put some eyeballs in there to make it a little bit more cartoony-ish. And bonus points if you can figure out who I've loosely based this on. So if you guys figure it out, put it down in the comments below. And then here I decided, the white eyeballs were a little too plain, so just picked a red and started going around putting some veins in, and I wasn't being terribly careful, so just kind of a quick thing. And the thing to make it a little bit better, like here I increased the size a little bit and changed it, not every single vein, just a couple of them here and there. Makes it look a little better if it's a little varied. And then here, seeing is like, oh no, gonna go a little bit further. So on the other eyeball, I actually start from the very back and just work my way around it. And just throw some quick squiggly red lines on there. And then I decided, you know what, it'd be fun if he had a gold tooth. So I gave him one. Why not, right? So remember, when you're painting, it's super easy. If you overpaint something, all you have to do is hold your finger on there and you'll get the same color and sheen for the paint. So you can go back and forth and fix your paint. And if you really wanted to, you can completely unwrap this in UV and go into Procreate and paint it really nice. But most of the time I'm just doing quick sculpts anyway. My whole thing for me most of the time is to be able to sculpt something on here, run it through a 3D printer and print it. So I don't worry too much about the paint, but I have been having fun doing some painting in here. So I went ahead and decided to go around the back side of the teeth, even though I didn't have anything detailed in there. But here, just going through and just doing a quick detail on the teeth, just knocking the paint back and forth until it's, fairly clean. It's not going to be terribly noticeable. I mean, those obviously are different colors, but, far enough away you're not going to notice them anyway. And then I decided, you know what, it'd look better if the eye sockets and the nose had some darker color to kind of outline the eyes. So I ended up just doing a fairly flat black in the background for everything, and makes the eyes stand out a lot better, I think. And you'll notice I did one a little bit bigger than the other to help, emphasize the bigger eyeball on the one side. Alright everybody, that's it. Thanks for watching, and if you guys are enjoying these videos, please like and subscribe. And I will see you next time for the spell book. Alright, thanks.